Stuff playing in the background. Alrighty. What is going on for the state family, Seminole Nation, and the 863 tribe? It's your boy POLK, a.k.a. a.k.a. the goddamn truth. Told y'all we was going to start picking up the pace. We was going to get back into the groove of things. And this is my continued attempt to do so. Got some spring ball to talk about. What are we, day 5 of spring practice, if I'm not mistaken, or at least we're 5 spring practices. We're 5 spring practices in, so we'll count that as day 5. So we got a little bit to talk about after 5 days. We don't want to get too excited, but a little bit to talk about. By the way, you see there's a link on the screen, link in the chat, pinned comment. Spend too much time on Twitter. That's the Twitch channel. Do me a follow. Just go over there and give your boy a little follow as we try to also build that platform over there. I always live stream on Twitch, so we're on Twitch. If that's something you're interested in, go over there and give Twitch a follow. Plus, the new college game gonna be coming out. Y'all know I'm gonna be over there, probably live streaming some games. So if that's something you're interested in, go check out that page over there on Twitch. Even if you're not interested in, can you just give it a follow? But anyways, you are on episode 114 of The Hangover. And man, again, we've moved on, as we talked about in the last live stream. Like, we've moved on from the 2-10. We're not talking about 2-10. Seminole Zach, I'm not doing it no more. I've said all I've had to say about 2-10. I ain't doing it. Trying to be positive. We're going to try to look forward to this upcoming season. But before we do that, we got the spring. And we got some things to talk about. So first topic we're going to get into before we really hit on spring and a lot of the topics surrounding spring is the rumors or the talk. FSU to the big is picking up. Now, one thing I haven't really covered over here, and one of the reasons I never really covered it is because, one, everybody and their mama is covering it, and two, I don't like talking about things that I don't necessarily have or understand the information on. But that was the settlement with FSU and Clemson in the ACC. A settlement did happen. I don't have all the facts here in front of me. Actually, I might have something. Give me 1 second. And again, we haven't covered it in detail. This happened, a few weeks ago? Okay, I got some stuff here. But essentially, Florida State and Clemson settled with the ACC per ESPN. Basically, in my opinion, they won. Now, they didn't necessarily win in the way that I think some Florida State fans were maybe hoping. Like, we're not immediately leaving. But essentially, you got a new revenue distribution. You were able to cut the grant of rights, essentially in half? Matter of fact, I'll just read it to you. And again, this is old news. Everybody probably is already aware of this. But let me do my due diligence here. A new revenue distribution model will be part of the settlement. According to ESPN, FSU's Board of Trustees, as well as Clemson and the ACC's Board of Directors, will hold meeting on Tuesday, blah, 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 blah. FSU's compensation annually relative to value is brought to the league in conjunction with the SEC and Big Ten teams, receiving an increase in revenue gap from TV deals. Where is some more? I'm trying to get to the specifics. Give me a minute. Basically, okay, so one of the key aspects of the settlement is the grant of rights, once believed to be ironclad, but is contested and will be declining financial penalties from the school who exit prior to 2036. If I'm not mistaken, I even saw something where it said it's down to 2030. Total total cost to exit the league after 2029, 2030 will drop below $100 million. Essentially, you're talking 4 to 5 years, where it was 2036, about 10 years from now. The grant of rights has been cut in half, again, thought to be ironclad. Under 100 mil, that's, I mean, if the big, and again, we're going to get into all of this talk, right? But that's essentially, if the big is as interested as rumored to be, which a lot of stuff is coming out. Now, I want to say, I think, and that doesn't mean that this stuff's not true. I think a part of the reason why some of this stuff is coming out might be because FSU media doesn't necessarily have access, so they got to find a way to generate some buzz. That's just a conspiracy theory on my part. But it goes in line with the settlement. If the big's really interested, when you drop under 100 million, if the big's really interested, I mean, I think they would pay a portion of that, if depending on who's coming along with Florida State and how interested they are. Yeah, so that's kind of the main part I wanted to get into, though, is Big Ten FSU rumors are picking up some speed, picking up some, however you want to kind of emphasize that. What does that mean? Well, as of right now, it doesn't mean anything. FSU will be in the ACC for at least, I think. Now, I did see one thing on Twitter. You take everything that you ever see on that app, you take it with a massive grain of salt. I don't know how accurate. I didn't even read to see who tweeted it or what was the source of the tweet. I did read something that said FSU and Clemson are prepared to announce their exit. I think it said at the end of this season. Now, that remains to be seen. We will see. However, I do believe that FSU will travel with Clemson to the Big Ten. And I'm interested to see, selfishly, as someone who wants to keep rivalries alive, and rivalries have died due to these conference realignments. You know, we don't get Oklahoma and Nebraska no more, which once was like a prominent yearly rivalry in the Big 12. So rivalries have died. I don't want that Miami-Florida State rivalry to die. I know everybody in the chat hates them. I'm there with you. But as far as that rivalry goes and what that means to this state, in my opinion, and just the fun that it is around that time of year for both fan bases, I think Miami fans can say what they want to say. I think they would agree with me. You don't want that rivalry to die. I would hope that we somehow keep that rivalry or can bring them with us. But again, these rumors are picking up some steam. Again, take everything talking about here with a grain of salt, because nothing's been confirmed by any official sources, right? Everything's kind of just been, what's the word? Suspected isn't the right word, but you know what I mean. Like everything's just kind of up in the air on kind of what's going to happen here. But the big has always kind of been for me, right? The big's always kind of been my end game result there. I've always wanted FSU to go there. I've always wanted that to be the end result. I think there's too many powers at B in the SEC for Florida State to really get a legit shot there. I know geographically the SEC has always and will always make sense for both Florida State and Clemson, for that matter. But the Big Ten model seems to be, and it's obviously when they went to the West Coast and added UCLA, Oregon, and USC and Washington, the Big Ten's model seems to be covering essentially every major from coast to coast of the United States or North America, and the Southeast would be the next, right? The next mountain to climb or zone to conquer. I think there's even talks of some North Carolina stuff going on around that. So as another potential ACC team that might have some value, it doesn't surprise me. North Carolina has, despite not being a mass, North Carolina is interesting in the sense of they are not a big football brand. They are just a brand in general. One, the colors are iconic. They have arguably the most famous athlete the world has ever seen, maybe with the exception of like Muhammad Ali, that went to that school. So that's why that brand is probably so sought after. I want to cover that before we kind of got into spring. FSU to the big. That's something that y'all can continue to monitor. Again, I haven't really gotten to that conversation. That's the first time we've really talked about it. Again, because you noticed I didn't talk a lot about grantor rights. I felt like there was a lot of people talking a lot of stuff that you really didn't have an actual knowledge on. And there's nothing wrong with speculating on certain things. So before we continue the spring ball, let's get to the comment section. Actually, we started a Hangover podcast. We started a Hangover live stream, and we didn't even do the roll call. So let's hit a roll call real quick. Then I'll get to the comments because I think I saw super chat, and then we'll continue to some spring ball talk. Let's hit a roll call real quick. 34 people in here right now. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Share the video. Let everybody know we're live. Get in that comment section so you can make this roll call, and then we'll continue on with the show as we always do. I'll give y'all a little bit, right, to hit that comment section. Then we're gonna get into the roll call and keep it pimping. We're gonna keep it pimping. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. My man Tyler Hedden in the building. Jeff Hill, KCD, Peter Shields, EMG, Seminole Zach, Blake Roberts, KCS, Sport Mark, Ben Faust, Vontae, Montre, D. Thompson, Brandon Brazier, Donald Gelsey, Mike, Myrick, Jamal M., Pastino, Antoine, Corey, Hall, all in the building. Jacob, Antonio, all in the building. Again, hit the like button and let's keep it moving. My man Jeff with a $10 donation, as always. Jeff coming in here, showing that love, and it's always appreciated. He says it's supposed to go down to 18 mil per every season. The time it gets to 2030, it only costs 75 million to get out. Right now, I think it's like 170 to leave now. Yeah. So again, I saw a report. Well, I won't call it a report. I saw a tweet that said at the end of this year, or I think it said it was either the end of I think it was the end of this year, 2025, 2026, FSU will be announcing. Again, don't believe it. I don't necessarily believe it, but they're reporting buzz. They are. When I say they are, that is, I believe, War Chant might have been the first FSU media site to break that. From I think what I saw. Again, take what you want to take from that. There's apparently some buzz there. But shout out to Jeff. As always, I appreciate the love from my man, Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
Ben says FSU in the Big Ten is interesting. It is interesting. There's some pros and cons to it all. I think some of the stuff, I think some of the cons that I've heard, I don't quite buy. Like I see people talk about the weather, and I'm thinking, is the weather? Well, football is really a fall sport, but it's played in that August. August and September in Florida is pretty much still summer. FSU already has Boston College. Teams like Boston College, Notre Dame, and Pitt that they play late and sometimes have to travel up north. I don't see it as big as an issue as that weather thing as people try to make it out to be personally. And the way the big is structured, I'd be interested to see how the Florida State Big Ten schedule will even look. I feel like you'd have to have at least one West Coast game with one of those West Coast teams, and one of those West Coast teams would have to come to you. Very interesting. Very interesting. Anton says, hell with the Coral Gable Canes. I mean, I hear you, and I get it, but I want to keep the rivalry personally. Me personally, I want that rivalry to stay alive. KCS, I've always wanted the best for the FSU, but football is the moneymaker. We aren't ready for the Big Ten ball. We don't need to get our heads bashed in by OSU. That'll just lead to more. See, okay, I hear you. I'm going to disagree in that aspect because I just watched Indiana go what? 11-2 in Big Ten football. I'm not saying Big Ten football isn't good. And I understand the season we just had. Don't get it twisted. But there's layers to that conversation, and one of that is just Florida State not getting Florida State caliber talent. Now, whether, again, trying to be positive, but whether Mike Norvell is the coach to lead Florida State into the Big Ten is a whole different conversation we can have. But one thing I'm very much confident is if this team is recruiting the way it should be, and the way it should be as an FSU program, needs to as an FSU program, like you're not going to play OSU. I don't think the Big Ten is scheduling, especially when you talk about the playoff. And as you can already see, is these leagues are trying to position to get as many playoff teams in the league from their leagues in as possible. I don't see a gauntlet, and I could be wrong, but I don't see you bringing in Florida State and their gauntlet is OSU, Michigan. I think it'll be spread out a little bit. Like I think Indiana last year, one of the reasons that they had one of the records, they only played OSU in the regular season. Like Indiana didn't have to play Oregon. They didn't have to play Michigan, I don't believe. So Indiana kind of got a luck of the draw there. My point is, if Indiana can have some seasons, yes, OSU, Michigan, but then after Oregon. But then after that, man, you can't tell me like FSU isn't better than Purdue or Illinois, like Northwestern. We can go down the list. I get it, but have some faith, KCS. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Caveman was good. Jeff says that he guarantees they're going to leave before 2030. I think they'll play only 2 seasons in this crappy conference. So you think they play this year, next year, and then they're out of here? Okay. Corey says a lot of classic matchups, but it's going to be cold some games for real. But it will be some historic matchups. It would suck to lose either rivalry game, but we can't continue to fall. I don't think the Florida game I don't think goes anywhere, obviously, because we already scheduled them. The last game of the season at a conference. The Florida game I don't see going anywhere because regardless of what conference we're in, that game that's going to be one of FSU's out of conference games. The question is, what do you do with Miami? Right now, Miami is just a part of your ACC schedule. Do you go back to how it used to be and have Miami be one of what do you get? 3 out of conference games, if I'm not mistaken, I think. Is it 3 or 4 out of conference games? Do you just make Miami the other out of conference game like you used to do? Possibly. Antoine says that's the biggest thing, the money. When that house settlement hits, FSU will be even more behind. Yeah, not only that, but you just mentioned it, the money. Again, I understand KCS and I understand the team we just fielded. But that money is going to hit a little differently in terms of recruiting, NIL, and some of this other stuff as well. Because now you're adding that infusion of money to the brand that is Florida State, right? So I see nothing but positives. That's just me. as most conferences are, quite frankly. Most conferences are top heavy. We don't talk about it enough because we like to pretend that everybody is, or in certain leagues, we like to pretend like these leagues are stacked top to bottom, but like most conferences are top heavy. You have the good, you have the year in and year out. You got your teams at the top. You got some solid middle of the road guys, and then you got everybody else. And all right, but let's appreciate everybody again. Hit the like button. Let's get into some spring talk because I don't know, man. Let's start with that. We're gonna start here, and then we'll go into some of the notes of spring ball. But I gotta start here, and I gotta get some feedback from the chat. Give me 1 second. Lost track. My bad, guys. I got to start here, and again, I want to get the concerns from the chat. Tell me if you on a scale of 1 to 10, just put numbers in of your concern of this what I'm about to talk about. On a scale of 1 to 10, I got a couple decent comments here. Let me read these comments, and then we're gonna get to spring talk. But I see some decent comments here, so I want to get to them. Yeah, it's all about the money. Big Ten got money. Fox behind it. We got to go. Period. Just get ready to travel. Even if Miami doesn't follow, we can still keep that game. Kick off the season every year. Yeah, that's the point I was making. Like even if Miami doesn't follow, my guess is you still keep that out of conference game. They'd just be one of the out of conference game, which actually makes your out of conference schedule look better, right? If Miami, Florida, you don't have to really put a Alabama State or something on there. So for sure, KCS, I did base that statement based off what Noles shown to let happen. And I understand that. Based on historical FSU that I've watched for over 35 years, let us kick that Big Ten door wide open. Shout out. Now, that's what I'm talking about. What up, Almighty? I'm seeing you in a hot minute. But again, I ain't been on in a hot minute. Thank you for popping in. All right. Again, scale of 1 to 10. How concerned are you guys? This has nothing to do with Rawls, but we'll talk about those. Scale of 1 to 10. The injuries. Injuries seem to continue to mount. Now, I have a theory on this. Again, y'all know me. I like to do my little conspiracy theories from time to time. But before I get into my theory, let's go down a list of guys that are either out from the spring or limited for the entirety of the spring, by the way. Jacob Rizzi, out for the spring. Daniel Lyons, I think that's a blow because that's a guy that I think can contribute. Not only can he contribute, wouldn't shock me if Daniel Lyons was a starter or heavily in the rotation. You feel me? Daniel Lyons out for the spring. Caleb Lavelli, I think I'm pronouncing his right, but that's the North Carolina linebacker, out for the spring. Edwin Joseph. Ooh, that's a guy that I think every Florida State fan in this chat, in this comment section, on this live stream, had high hopes for. Out for the spring. Jason Jenkins, we talked about him before, but that's the Tennessee transfer. Fits the defense, big, long player, out for the spring. So that's 2 defensive linemen, by the way. Note that. Conrad Hussey is either out for the spring or limited. They haven't specified that. Shaheem Brown as well. Haven't specified that. And then LaWayne McCoy. Now, again, I have a theory on this, but how concerned are some of y'all with some of these injuries coming off of a 2-10? I named some guys that there's some high expectations for, like LaWayne McCoy, Conrad Hussey, Edwin Joseph, Daniel Lyons, for me personally. How concerned are some of y'all with some of these names? Like, you're missing guys for the entirety of the spring that I think you're going to be counting on for the fall. So what's y'all's concerned? Because, again, I have a theory on it, and I'm going to get to it. I got a 2-part theory, but I'm curious of your thoughts in that chat. Again, there's some names. Just to go over the names again. Rizzi. And, again, these guys are all out for the spring. Like, it's not just injuries, but you're talking about guys who are done, reportedly. Jacob Rizzi, Daniel Lyons, Caleb Lavelle, Edwin Joseph, Jason Jenkins, Conrad Hussey, Shaheem Browns, LaWayne McCoy. 8 on Joseph, 6 on Hussey. Could care less about Shaheem. Dude's getting hurt in practice. We talking about practice. I hear you. Hey, Polk, my Chicago Bulls are hooping lately. Hey, we still, my Knicks are saving Brunson for the playoffs. I think we still third in the East or something like that. We good, almighty. Is the Bulls going to be in the playoffs? Oh, okay. Oh, no. Anyway, they have to care about their own bodies, but strengths by storms need to tighten up. 8 on all the injuries. Next man up. Next man up until the summer. Concern maybe a 6. Not overly concerned. I mean, but you're going to have bumps and bruises through spring football practice. That's normal. Okay. 10, 9.5. Weeding out the week. We need to get ready for whenever we go P2. Vontae's at a 7. Need Edwin back immediately. Same with Conrad. We haven't proven anything. Still 2-10. We finally having a tough practice, according to Almighty. And Almighty says we go, okay, we're getting out of hand, but I appreciate it. I appreciate the confidence. We went all the way to playoffs. Let's stay in April or March. Go March leading into April. Let's stay in March leading into April. Antonio says 8 and 9. This puts more pressure on Novell. Okay, so I have 2 theories here. I'm gonna start with the negative theory first, and then I'll end on the positive one. And I don't like to put too much on. I think it's because you can't predict injuries. And a lot of times that injury bug, man, just comes down to some fluke stuff. But the degree at which these injuries are, we're in day 5. And again, guys aren't just getting bumped and bruised. Like the comment, I think Jeff said it. There's going to be bumps and bruises. I hear you, right? I hear you. We're talking bumps and bruises. But when guys are they're missing the entire spring, that's a little bit more concerning to me than bumps and bruises. And I'm trying to figure out, is that a strength and conditioning thing? Because it's starting to sound like, some of these guys, like the Jason Jenkins, man, Caleb Lavelle, like these guys who transferred in this year, I'm not going to pin that on maybe strength and conditioning, but LaWayne McCoy, Shaheem Brown been in the same strength and conditioning for 4 or 5 years now. Hussey, these guys that have been here for at least a year or 2, I have a little bit of concern there. But again, injuries are just part of the game for sure, and can be fluky at times. But at the end of the day, like what's in the water that we're losing some key. Some key guys out there reportedly missing what I think is, especially when you're breaking in a brand new offense for the most part. I know there's going to be some things, but this is Gus's show on offense. You're 100% breaking in a brand new defense. To be having guys that you think are going to be major contributors for you, missing what is probably crucial time in the spring, I think it's a big deal. And if your concern is up there, yeah, I think it should be. If you believe theory number 1. Here's theory number 2. And this is actually the theory that I lean toward. Believe this or not, this is the theory that I lean towards. Compared to prior springs that media had access to watch and share their own clips, get their own videos, the injury report has been very much bloated this offseason, in my opinion, purposefully. There's no way for the media to confirm any of these injuries other than what Norvell tells them. Now, why would Norvell lie about some of these injuries? Who knows? Norvell's coming off of 2-10. There's all kind of gamesmanship that can go into a lot of this. I have a sneaky suspicion that not everybody that you're looking at on this list is as injured as we think they are. I think there are guys who you may have seen what you need to see. They're going to run. They'll still practice, run drills. They might even run some drills privately or whatever. But they aren't as injured. Now, I think there probably are some legit injuries with that. Don't get me wrong. But again, this is just my own personal theory. I think that list is a little bloated, and I think it's a little bloated on purpose. I don't know if that means it could be lower expectations. A good point, a dangbag. Could be to lower the expectations. I think some of this stuff, personally, I think is a little bit calculated. I don't, and again, I'll just use Edwin Joseph as an example. He might have a legit sore knee, or I don't know what the injury is, but there might be something legitimately wrong with him. But they're just going to list them out. Maybe you're saving guys for the fall. Maybe you are purposely putting some of these guys on the shelf to give some other guys some more reps. And then in the fall, everybody kind of clash together. It just seems a little bloated to me compared to prior years when Mike Norvell, like all of a sudden coming off of 2-10, and now everybody's getting a little hurt, and it's only 5 days into practice. I think he just put the pads on a couple days ago. I think some of that is a little bit of gamesmanship from the head coach. Again, what does that mean? It doesn't mean a lot in April. It's not like teams right now have to prepare for Edwin Joseph or LaWayne McCoy, but maybe we're lowering the expectation. Maybe you're trying to lull teams into a false sense of security. Like, oh, Florida State got bit with the injury bug in the spring. They're not going to be ready. Like, maybe there's some of that. Again, that's just me spitballing. I don't know. Could definitely be wrong, though. Lakers in 5. Okay. But I think a lot of that is the coach speak. I think they keep most of those guys out just being cautious, get ready for the fall because it's a long season. If Mike starts the season 3-3, Norvell will be let go midseason, and Gus will be the new coach. If Mike starts 3-3, we can definitely have a conversation. I hope Gus is an intern. If you're going to make Gus the intern, I'm okay with that. But once you fire Mike Norvell, you got to clean house. That includes Gus Malzahn. Look, I'm all for Gus Malzahn being your OC, but not your permanent head coach. And I don't think Gus Malzahn left UCF to maybe he did. I highly doubt that. So, I mean, definitely have a conversation at 3-3. Don't get me wrong, but I don't hope it ain't Gus. It says, I would agree with you, but Shaheen being out ain't because he was balling out. Well, I mean, that again, that doesn't. Some guys probably are legitimately hurt. Peter says he saw a clip of Hussey in full pads at safety. But again, he is listed as limited / maybe being out for the spring. So there you go. But that's kind of to my point. Like, I don't know. I don't know if everybody that's being listed here is actually not practicing. That's just me. Do you think there's a chance that they want to transfer these players that I named? Absolutely not. Think they would have transferred already, and then you got guys who you got 2 guys on this list that just transferred here, and Caleb and Jenkins. So no, I don't think it has anything to do with potential transfers or anything like that. Norvell don't know what he want to do all this year. He's open to the media. Now you close it. I mean, Gus, the head coach right now, real talk. You can make a case. And I don't know why it took him 5 years to figure out that he needed to close. Let's be honest. And I'm not going to get too far into this topic, but to address your comment right here, Corey, when War Chant leaked the Amarius Mims story, and we all know how that played out. We all know how that ended up happening. We all know what ended up happening with Amarius Mims. War Chant dropped the story as that it was a done deal, and then we know how that followed. After that, I don't know why he didn't close himself off to the media, period. I don't understand why people continued to get access, if we're being completely honest. After they prematurely broke that Amarius Mims story, that would have been it for me as Mike Norvell. But I guess it took 2 and 10 for him to actually want to make like those type of changes. It is what it is. Some people have the foresight. Some people are reactionary. It is what it is. Regarding Gus, the head coach, I don't think he'd want it based off what players have said about him wanting to focus solely on the offense. So let's do it. That's like the right now. We talk again. We 5 practices or five spring days in. And like the injuries, I mean, you're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, damn, FSU's almost averaging 2 players a day getting hurt. So we'll see how that continues to go. And with there being no spring game, I think Mike Norvell said I think there's a scrimmage this weekend. Limited scrimmage, from what I understand. There'll be like specific plays and these things ran. Obviously, we won't be seeing these things. If FSU, the actual FSU account, not like War Chant or 247, but FSU, Florida State University, they are the Florida State personal media, I guess is what we'll call them. They are. They have been releasing clips and footage, but as you can tell when you watch it, it's a lot more controlled. The FSU football page is flat out. They're being picky and choosy on what they want to release. They're being picky and choosy on what they want to release. So, and I like that, right? We're getting a little bit of they're releasing what they want to release and not silly things that we've seen in the past that they're like, man, why are they releasing this stuff? So FSU football being more controlled in what clips are being released, I think has, from an optics standpoint, obviously has paid more dividends this offseason so far. Media was leaking stuff, so he took their pass. He should have been did that, quite frankly. Speaking of that Mims stories, FSU still on scholarship probation with Atkins at LSU. I would believe so, regardless of where Atkins is or ended up. I think I forget the details of that probation, but it wasn't a lot. So I don't know. Honestly, KCS, I don't know, and I don't think it matters. What's up, FSU Tony? So some of the notes, and again, y'all, we don't go too long on these hangovers, about an hour to hour and 30 minutes. So, but let's get into some of the what's kind of been, who's getting some praise and what do we think as far as 5 days in? Not a lot to go by, but we got a little bit of rumor or Mike Norvell name drops a few guys. He does name drop a few guys in his press conferences. So here's one of the bigger notes that you, I think, can take from this. Earl Little essentially having a new role in FSU's defense, not corner and not safety, but this rover position that is being talked about. Interesting to see how they use Earl Little, but Earl Little Jr. is being talked of kind of having a newer role in this upcoming Tony White defense. What are you guys' thoughts on that? So basically, he's having another position switch here, which is interesting, right? Because I thought that this was a guy that we were going to see for sure at the safety position, but it sounds like they're moving him. Sounds like they're moving him to a different spot, like a rover, which I gotta guess that's that hybrid nickel safety. Probably gonna play him closer to the line of scrimmage, where it might not even be like, it might be like a backer / safety type is what I'm of the assumption. I think they like his physicalness. I think they like the way Earl Little comes downhill. He's very quick trigger coming downhill. Maybe they're not as much as a fan of the coverage skills. And so they want to play him a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, maybe a little bit more side in the box, maybe. Interesting. I'm interested to see. I think that's one of the bigger takeaways so far with 5 days in is this whole new role for Earl Little Jr. And what are you guys' thoughts on that? And is it a good move for Earl? Did you kind of want to see him stick to safety? What are you guys' thoughts on the Earl Little thing? I still kind of want to see what exactly Rover is. So it's hard to really judge the move until we kind of see how that's utilized. But they're calling it a position change, so it tells me it's a little different from the safety position that he was originally playing or had moved into last year. Am I good? My camera flickered. I think I'm good. I look good. Look good, sound good. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're Gucci. Okay. So yeah, the camera, my GoPro flickered. Okay, we're back. But yeah. Grillmaster says, I like Earl going into that rover position. He can't be much worse than he was at nickel. Got to be better than he was at nickel. Little is going to be more like an extra linebacker cover guy we needed. Or playing that same role as Marcus Joyner. Again, I'll wait and see on that. I think in theory, it does sound like he's going to be in a similar role. And, under Pruitt, I think that was the star position. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Is that Rover going to be essentially what FSU fans would know as the star back when Pruitt was here, or is it something different? So I am interested to see it. He says, hopefully he pans out one of the transfers we talked about as a long-term transfer. He going to play nickel to the strong side, but there's really no name for it because the strength of the offense can move all these names. Safety to safety, not no strong or free. Not quite Joyner. That was the star, which was basically nickel / blitzer. So see, that's what I'm saying. If you look at just everything people are commenting, and I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong because, again, I already said I don't know. I don't know what that rover entails in this 3-3-5 Tony White defense. Is it, as Ray Fitty says, like the star position that LaMarcus Joyner was playing? Is it essentially just nickel with a different name? Is it essentially that? Is it something? Is it just an extra like what is it, right? So nobody seems to know. Everybody has their own thoughts and opinions. Um, so we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see, but it's interesting. And again, I think it's one of the bigger news points. So now Jamie was a safety. Um, when Jamie first got here, he they tried him at nickel. It didn't work. Almost has a similar story to Earl, where it didn't work. But then Jamie essentially played a traditional safety role at Florida State. Jamie was pretty much a safety. He was just a traditional, like strong safety type. Come down, tackle you, play the middle of the field type. But yeah, I wouldn't call what Jamie did a rover. What's y'all's opinion on the FSU? But no, I got no opinion on him because I don't know nothing about him. Next point of conversation is Amari. I saw somebody mention him in the comment already. Amari Williams is getting some hype, some buzz. They're saying he got a pick today, which is interesting. I'm a little different. Like I hear Amari Williams got a pick, and the first thing that comes to mind is great, Amari got a pick, and I'm going, well, how did my defensive end get a pick? What was the play? Did he jump a screen? Did the ball get tipped and he caught it? Yeah, I'm not saying that to kind of take away from whatever Amari Williams is doing out there in practice. It's good to hear his name. Again, that's a name that I kind of wanted to see him stay at tight end, but if you're going to move him back to defense, at least he's out there making some plays. And again, and how they're using him, we don't get to see because they have closed off practices again, which is great. I love the speculation. Maybe he got a pick because he is playing more of a linebacker role and not an edge rusher. I don't know what happened there. But Amari getting that recognition, maybe he's a guy who contributes more in year two at going from tight end to DN than anticipated. That's still kind of one of those things where I got to wait and see on that. I believe he can be either or. Y'all know me. I wasn't a fan of moving from tight end to DN. He could have just stayed at DN if you're going to do that. You saw he has potential at tight end. Why not just leave him there? Maybe you don't go get why would you bring Marcus and Douglas back if you keep Amari Williams on that side of the ball, right? So there's questions of the roster management, but hearing that he's doing his thing, making some plays, shining out there, those things are good to hear. Don't get me wrong. There is a part of me that wishes, though I like the fact that practices are closed. There's a part of me that kind of wishes I at least could. I don't need to see the entirety of the play. I just want to see where he's lined up, how he's lined up, and what they're doing. After that, you don't even got to show me the result of the play. Just let me see how the formation looks, and then I can kind of visualize things from there. Not knowing what's going on, the pick necessarily doesn't mean anything to me because I don't know what's around. I don't know what happened. Him getting a pick could bring up more questions than answers. So I don't care much about that. But him out there doing this thing, maybe pushing guys around him, I care more about that. And then how they're lining them up, I would love to see that. What is STAR? Is an abbreviation like a cloud flat? You could cloud flat, corner plate of flats. All these names is crazy. What we talking about? We talking about some spring ball, Jay. Seems like the kind of end that can drop in the coverage somewhat effectively, so it doesn't seem that crazy he would get a pick. These positions in the 3-3-5 are different from the 4-2-5 we've been playing. We don't have a comparison, really. Amari got a pick. Oh, them boys going 3-9. Watch out, Jay. LMO, yeah. You say it's strong, but if it's 11 personnel due to the tight end move from right to left, now the safety on the left side is strong. Safeties are if it's too high. Are we talking about what I said about Jamie, or are we talking about something else? Because I was only talking about Jamie when I said he played like a traditional safety, and I mean that was really Adam Fuller's thing from day one. I always wasn't a fan of the safety play, and the way Fuller essentially played too high his entire time at Florida State. Which, I mean, I'm not saying too high is a problem. Just that's basically what Fuller ran. It was too high safeties majority of the time, from my recollection anyway. So there's that. I just have this gut feeling. I don't know why I feel this way, but the defense I think is going to be pretty good. If we can get healthy, I think the defense has a chance to be solid for sure. They can get healthy. Brock Glenn. Saw an interview with Brock Glenn, and I don't say much about, Brock Glenn essentially is the backup quarterback. We know that. And one of the pet peeves I have in the offseason is fans who take interviews and somehow a guy interviews well, oh man, we love him, he's going to be great, as if interviewing is indicative of football talent. So I say that to say I appreciate the way Brock Glenn has handled this entire thing. Does that mean Brock Glenn is going to be X, Y, and Z caliber player? Man, I don't know. Honestly, probably not. He could prove me wrong. I don't know. But I do appreciate Brock being a guy that at least is trying to, and this isn't a knock on Luke Kromenhoek. I don't have a problem with that because Luke Kromenhoek didn't sign up to play, in the system that's here now. But Brock Glenn hasn't ran from the smoke. Again, it doesn't mean anything necessarily, but I do think, I think I said this in the last stream when we talked about, remember I talked about how I thought one of the key points of Florida State's downward demise, this wasn't the last stream, but I think it was the stream before that, was them bringing in DJU. And it wasn't just them bringing in DJU. It was essentially throwing Tate Rodemaker sent a message to the team that I don't think was received very well. I think having that guy that everyone's familiar with in Brock Glenn, I think that brings something to that team. Now, does that mean you got a solid locker room guy, a sideline leader? Then sure. Again, I'm not saying Brock Glenn's legitimately pushing for the starting job. Not so sure about that. I know Mike Norvell can say what he wants to say in regards to that. But I appreciate I guess that's basically what I'm saying is I appreciate the way he's handling this, and I appreciate I think the energy he probably can bring to a team, to a locker room, to a quarterback room. What does that mean in the long run? I don't think it means much, but it was something that I took note of, so I wanted to talk about it a little bit. Williams says Brock Glenn is a throwing interceptions machine. Is he? He's got 5 interceptions in his career. Granted, he doesn't have a ton of snaps in his career. Take that back. He's got 7 interceptions in his career. I just looked at it. But if he's an interception throwing machine, then hell, what is Thomas Castellanos? Because Thomas has thrown. Let me just look that up real quick. And I'm not saying you're taking up for Thomas or whatever. I'm just saying. What is going on here? I hate this app sometimes. Yeah, what is Thomas? If Brock Glenn, and I'm not, I don't think anything went well last year. But hell, let's see. Thomas Castellanos has a season of 15 and 14 interceptions. So if Castellanos saying an interception throwing machine, I don't know what to tell you. Glenn is a true no. And we'll see what that again. That we've said that about guys in the past, and it hasn't mattered. And again, I'm not saying it does matter. I'm just saying, man. We'll see. There's a clip actually recently shared from FSU's from the official Florida State football Twitter page. Brock Glenn, TC threw a pass, which was a great catch in my opinion, by Deuce. Deuce had like a back shoulder one-handed grab, but the pass was also tipped. I think they're saying by Jabril Rawls. Not only was it tipped, I would argue that pass should have been picked. I'll let y'all, if y'all have, matter of fact, here, why talk about it? I'm gonna let y'all watch the play, and then you tell me, is that I'm not gonna pressure you. You tell me what you think of that pass. Do I think the bitch is gonna last the whole season? Corey, you tell me. I'm gonna let y'all see this pass. I'm not gonna try to influence y'all's thought process on this pass. I see, Florida State fans, they have their opinions on social media. I'm just going to share this clip. That's all I'm gonna do. Oh, wait a minute. Let me make it big again. I thought I could make it bigger than that, but I guess I can't. Do y'all see it? Yeah, y'all should. Yeah, y'all looking right at it. Now, I'm just going to keep this up here because it's going to just play on a loop. Tell me what you think of the pass. I think the catch is pretty solid. Again, that's like a back shoulder, one-handed grab. I don't think the ball looked – never mind. I'm not going to say anything. Right? I'm going to let y'all say what y'all have to say, and then I can give my opinion. I don't want to influence anybody here. I feel like sometimes maybe if y'all see the pass, y'all let me know. Again, y'all should see the pass on the screen. Just let me know what you think, man. Let me know what y'all think. And just keep it moving from there. Again, the pass is on a loop. Solid play from. I will say that Rawls, man, he extended. I think Rawls like a 6'1" corner, something like that. He should have picked that off. I think that's a great play. You pick that off. I'm probably hyping that up a little bit, but not only do you not pick it off, I mean the wide receiver catches it and walks into the end zone. So y'all tell me. What y'all's thought process is. He can get in the vicinity of the wide receiver. I mean, I hope so. He plays quarterback. You got to at least be able to get it in the vicinity. Again, I just want to know what your thought process on this. This is particular clip. Not a lot going on here, but, pass, gets tipped. I guess Rawls is playing – they're obviously playing zone here, and TC thinks he can fit it into that spot. It looks like to me TC gets lucky to fit it into the spot. I don't know. I'm not talking about the catch, guys. Yes, I think the catch is great. I think the catch is the highlight of the play, obviously. What about the decision? What about the actual throw? These are the things I'm asking y'all to critique. I'm not really asking y'all to critique the catch, even though I understand last year nobody could catch a cold, so I get why everybody's so caught up on the catch. Not sure Castellanos actually saw the safety coming from the sideline and purposely threw behind Deuce, or if he still ain't up to the wide receiver speed. I'm not going to say he's accurate. Corey and Antoine talking about something else. Antoine says, here we go with Rawls again. I mean, hey, if Rawls gets out there and proves people wrong, shout out to Rawls, Jabril Rawls. How can you judge a tip ball? Seminole big boy. Are we talking about how do you judge the pass? That question in and of itself confuses me. Are we talking about the pass or the catch? I can definitely judge a tip ball. I could judge should the ball have been tipped in the first place. I mean, there's a lot of questions here. I think you can judge the play for what it is. I don't know. I feel like that's a trick question. I think. How can you judge a tip ball? Just judge the play for what it is. Okay, I'm tired of showing it, but yeah, that was the play. And again, you're kind of getting like a pylon end zone view of this. So like, I don't know who's behind Deuce necessarily. Is there a safety in the end zone that you didn't throw that ball up the field more? There's a lot of questions you can't really answer just from this particular clip and the angle of that clip. So it's very interesting to me how people. Grandma says he doesn't see why he didn't lead his receiver again. That's because you don't know who's kind of back there. We can only see from a certain angle. So maybe if he leads the receiver, it's a pick. So it's hard for me to judge it from that standpoint. The decision was great. He had the spacing. However, I would love to him put more air under the higher pass point spacing between the corner and the safety. It was great. I know he's short. I can't really take nothing from this clip. Read option. Hell, we need to run the wishbone. So bring up an interesting point, Corey. And I actually combine Corey and Grand Champion here because I actually agree with kind of both of these points. I think these points kind of merge. And I haven't made a big deal about TC's height. But I don't think the decision was bad at all. I think what you saw, at least from what I saw, I think he just has some physical limits, man. I think if he was 3 inches taller, I don't think Jabril Rawls has a chance to touch that ball. You know what I mean? But when your 5'7" quarterback is throwing that pass, I just think that's what ended up happening. You feel me? I just think that's what ended up happening. I don't think it was a bad decision either. I just and you want to get the ball higher, but maybe that's as high as he can get it without overexerting the pass. And instead of that pass is going out of the sideline or out of the end zone, and not so much I think there's just some limitations there. So Jabril, he makes a solid play, tips it, but the catch still gets there. I just, yeah. I don't think it was a bad decision. I just think I will say I don't know the ball to me. Again, this is just me. You can believe or have your own thought process. I don't think the ball comes out of his hands particularly well in that play, in my opinion. which is one of the reasons why it also kind of gets tipped. I don't know if the zip was there. But I think he did I think he did physically the best he could do on that play. But currently, yes. I mean, I expect the new stadium to look pretty fire. And he played the Assassin's Creed game. Yeah, I played it. I actually think it's solid game. $9.99. My man KCS 85. Appreciate the $9.99. What's the hate on Raws? Don't we want these dudes getting better? I don't think there's hate. And it has nothing to do. This is what I always say. Anybody, first of all, I only ever judge production or no production on a football field. For guys that have little to no production, then I gotta judge where were you in the pantheon of players coming out of high school. I think the hate, which again I don't think it's hate, I just think the reality is Rawls has little to no production in his time at Florida State. Combine that with the caliber of player that's been recruited around him and what type of recruit he was. I think a lot of people are saying, like, if Rawls is the best guy on your roster, not saying he is, there may be cause for concern. Because FSU legitimately has guys in that secondary who are ranked top 150, top 100 guys. Now, again, Jabril Rawls, I don't remember. I can probably look it up right now. I mean, matter of fact, I will do so just to be accurate because I don't want to put out false information. But Jabril Rawls coming out of high school, his high school rating .247, right? You're talking about the nationally ranked 694th player in the country out of Pensacola. So you're talking about a top 700 guy. Okay. Again, that is where I come from with it. It ain't hate. I'm simply coming from it of a standpoint of that's where Jabril, that doesn't mean he can't be great. He like every player I'm going to criticize, they get a chance to go on a football field and shut somebody like me up. So he gets that opportunity. But Jabril Rawls compared to pretty much everybody else in that secondary. I mean, who else do I need to bring up? Let's just go through the list. Charles Lester. 247. We're just going to go down the list. Nationally ranked 84. So he was a top 100 player. That's just Charles Lester. Let's keep it pimping though. Let's keep it pimping. Jabari Howard, nationally ranked 113. Kai Bates, nationally ranked 125. Who am I forgetting, guys? You got Conrad Hussey, AJ, Conrad Hussey, KJ. I mean, Ricky Knight, nationally ranked 361. Right? Like, I'm literally just going down, like, you. So I don't have to keep going, right? We get the point. We get the point that I'm making. At least, no hate, but it's kind of like, damn, if Rawls is the guy that's shining, what is that? Is there cause for concern? I think that's what it is. But I appreciate you, KCS, for that $9.99. I hope that answered your question. That's the best way I can answer it, personally.
Clickety clank, clickety clank. The money goes into my beat.
Truth be told, Polk, my dude, first down inside zone, second down inside zone, third down. I hope we never have to pass. We'll see. We'll see what we running over there. My biggest question with TC isn't if the run game's going, I think he'll be effective because he can run. So now you have a defense in a situation where they don't know what the hell they can do. The real concern for me when it comes to TC is on obvious passing downs, is he going to be able to make passes? On a 3rd and 8, can he convert that? 3rd and 10, 2nd and 12. On obvious passing downs, is TC going to be able to drop back and get us a first down? That's my biggest question with him. But if we got a run game going, if we can run the ball and we're ahead of the sticks most times, I think we'll be fine. Antoine says, that's exactly what I'm saying. No hate on Rawls, just the body types and talent in that room. But he's the one we're hearing about. That's where I come from. That's where I come from. No hate on him, but, you know, either he's outperforming that high school again, and I'm only judging him off high school because he hasn't done anything on a college football level yet. So I got to judge him on what he was. Now, granted, he's had those years in college to improve his game. So he'll get a chance to get on that field and shut good old light-skinned dude on YouTube up. And I got no problem coming on here saying Jabril Rawls is the man. Like y'all remember how hard I used to be on Jerry, and that last year I had nothing bad to say about Jerry, and did I? Not only did I have nothing bad to say, I was praising him. It ain't nothing. It ain't. I don't hate guys. Never nothing personal with me. I just talk about what they do. When they suck, I'm gonna say they suck. When they get on here and it is what it is. TC, more rush yards than pass yards. I hear you, but the damn chat seems to be disappointed in hearing good news. I don't think they're disappointed. I think some of the disappointment seems like it's directed at Rawls. I think the problem is Edwin's hurt, Hussey's hurt. Like, okay, cool. Rawls, I'm glad you're doing great. No Kai Bate sighting. There's no Charles Lester sighting. There's no, where are these other guys, man, that we recruited? I think that is the problem. I think that's the frustration. It's not directed at Rawls, I don't think. At least coming from me. It's not directed at Rawls. But, why aren't we hearing about Jamari Howard, Kai Bates, Charles Lester, or whoever? Why aren't we hearing about these guys? Why are we only hearing about Jabril Rawls? I think that's the reaction. More so than oh, Jabril sucks. Why, I think most people will be happy if Jabril Rawls is actually really good. We're kind of disappointed if Lester isn't on the field this year. Well, that's the point. Vontae speaks to the point that I'm trying to make here. See what I'm saying? Vontae right on cue. Why aren't we hearing about Charles Lester and some of these other guys? Not so much directed at Rawls, but why aren't we hearing about some of these other guys? A couple more topics, man, and then we're going to get on up out of here. Not going to stay too long on here. Omar Graham. Mike Norvell has praised some Omar Graham. He said Omar Graham has done, playing better linebacker. Lofton. They said Lofton will get a chance to play as a freshman tight end. I personally believe that is just coach talk. You want to keep the freshmen engaged. You obviously want to get them to contribute to the room and push them as hard as you can. But you didn't bring in 2 tight ends in the portal, in my opinion, and have Landon Thomas there for Lofton to be playing significant snaps. Now, granted, I don't think the world of Marcus and Douglas. He is an upgrade over what we had last year, not in Morlock probably. So if you're telling me that Lofton can take Marcus and Douglas's snaps, okay. But you brought in Randy Pittman, who is in Gus Malzahn's system. Gus Malzahn utilized him in said system. So Gus is going to try to get him the ball because he's comfortable with him. Landon Thomas has all the talent, and you expect some type of growth in year 2. And then, again, I talk about Marcus and Douglas, a guy that Norvell's familiar with, Tony Tokars is familiar with, so we'll see how that plays out. But if Lofton's going to take anybody's snaps, it's going to be, in my opinion, Marcusson, Douglas. Then the big one that I want to end here on is Javon Boggs. Y'all already know this is the guy that I told y'all on signing day. Football player. I don't care what the rankings were, which he wasn't ranked bad. He was a 4-star. I don't care the people saying he's not the twitchy athlete. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I said he was like my favorite player in the class because I believe Javon Boggs is a football player. And apparently everybody who's seen it firsthand says the exact same things. And if there's a freshman on offense not named Chroma that's probably going to contribute, it's probably this young wide receiver. Mike Norvell did mention guys like Hakeem and Jaylen Brown showing, but he does this all the time, so I don't take anything. He always says guys are showing flashes. I don't know what that means, so I don't really care. But Boggs is a guy whose name has not only been repeated by coaches, it's been repeated by players that have to play against him. They've been impressed with the young wide receiver Boggs. And that is a guy who maybe Hakeem don't take the step that everybody thinks and wants him to take. Maybe Boggs fills that role. Maybe LaWayne McCoy is set back by this injury. Maybe Boggs takes that role. Right? Maybe Squirrel White or somebody, or hell, like hearing that Boggs is as good as he is, to my point, is the reason why gives me less reason to worry. I think even if some of those other guys that we're kind of counting on to step up in that receiver room, I think Boggs might have a say so in what goes on in that receiver room. Grand Champion says 2,000 yards passing, 15 rushing. I'm calling it. It did it for his big brother who recently was killed in Miami. He gonna show. I mean, if he's doing that, that's gonna be very productive. I mean, you're talking about almost 4,000 yards of total offense. Interesting to see what the touchdown and interception ratio is on those stats. 1,500 yard rushing from the quarterback is crazy. If he's running for 1,500, only throwing for 2,000 is a little, whatever. But okay. I mean, you tell if he's running for 1,500, I gotta think what's the running back's actual running game? You're talking about we running. What are we averaging? 300 plus yards a game, Grand Champion, with those type of stats. I mean, I'll take it. Don't get me wrong. I will take 300 yards a game. I think you win a lot of football games that way. I'm interested to see how that would look, though. I think when Mike shouts out a player, it's just gamesmanship. He always shouts out true freshmen. And, guys, he needs to stick around for depth. Who the inside linebacker? I think Surtain will have the back end good. I'm scared about the linebacker and the pass rush. Well, I don't know if that was you, Corey, or somebody said the way the 3-3-5 is set up, I think the pass rush is going to come from a lot of different spots. So if the back end is good, I'm not concerned about the pass rush personally. I think those two feed off each other. I think a good back end means quarterbacks hesitate longer. They don't know where to go with the football. Pass rush should get there, and vice versa. A good pass rush, I mean, the corners ain't got to cover for long, which means quarterbacks are throwing prematurely or too late in tighter windows. So those two things coincide with each other. Linebackers are legit concern just because who are the guys? Is it the two transfer guys, the two veteran transfer players, and Elijah Herring and is it Thompson, Stephon Thompson? Is it a combination of Omar Graham and Blake Nicholson, Juice Cryer? They have some bodies and some productive bodies in the back of the room, but what's the combination there? But I said it the last stream, and I'll say it again. I have a bullish feeling on the defense personally, and one of the main reasons is because I think, like I just said, I think that pass rush and that secondary is going to really feed into each other personally. Hell, he don't have a QB who can get the ball to him, so he gonna have to be able to block with this offense. A lot of wide receivers not gonna come here. Corey is not a fan of TC, guys. If you have not figured it out, some players are just gamers. The numbers Boggs put up in high school. I mean, if the man was any type of a really freaky athlete, he would have been a 5-star. He'd have been a 5-star. That would be crazy stat line. I hope he makes it to the end of the season healthy. Poke, how did your brisket turn out? Was it dry or moist? I just did some burnt yesterday. They were pretty good. You know, I'm glad you bring that up, Ray 50, because we can kind of end on this. My wife messed my brisket up. She messed it up. She allowed it to dry out because she decided to take it out. We took it out the smoker and decided. Well, she said she did it on accident. She threw it in the oven to keep it warm, or I forget what the thought process was. Oh, I can just put it in the oven. But the oven was on, so it overcooked. And I woke up to a big pile of leather that we couldn't eat. Don't worry, I'm perfecting the brisket skills. But that one did not come out good, Ray Fitting. And I had forgot about it until you brought it up. Yeah, we messed the brisket up. I say we, but she did actually. I think we lead the ACC in rushing for sure this year, or at least top three passing. Grand champion, we got a very higher chance of leading the ACC in rushing just because Gus Mel's on. Like, even as bad as UCF was last year, go check the rushing numbers there. I think they had a 1,500-yard rusher, if I'm not mistaken. Matter of fact, let's just look that up real quick. UCF stats. UCF Knights. Statistics. Talking about a team that was 13th in the Big 12. But they had, as a team, they ran for pretty much 3,000 yards at 5.8 yards a carry and 33 touchdowns. I mean, R.J. Harvey ran for 1,500 yards, 7 yards a carry, and 22 touchdowns. So Gus is going to run the ball. Ja'Cory Brown, the quarterback, Ja'Cory Brown, Miami, he was there. Ran for 400 yards, 8 yards a carry, and 4 So I'm actually surprised KJ Jefferson doesn't have more rushing yards than what he ended up with. But yeah, I mean, Gus is going to run that ball. Gus is going to run that ball. And even with the quarterback play you think our quarterback play was bad last year. I mean, theirs was pretty bad too. If you go, they played 4 quarterbacks. Nobody had a completion percentage over 59. I mean, Dylan Rizek, he had a completion percentage of 61. I mean, they had some bad quarterback play, guys. And guess what? They still had a receiver with over 700 yards, 16 yards a catch. Randy Pittman still had over 400 yards at 13 yards a catch. I mean, as bad as some of these offensive numbers look specifically in the passing game, from a quarterback standpoint, hell, they had a better offense than Florida State did. They had a better offense than we did. So, to your point, Grand Champion, and I think the offense will be better. The offense will be better. But we ain't gonna lead we ain't gonna lead we ain't gonna be top 3 in no passing game. I can promise you that. Not with my quarterback room of Thomas Castellanos, Brock Glenn, Trevor Jackson, and Kevin Sperry. I'm telling you that right now. We ain't leading no passing game. Now we lead the ACC in rushing. That is a legit possibility. We'll see how that plays out. Do you have a list of guys that if we don't see in steady rotation this year, you think, oh, I do that every year? Now is not necessarily time to do that right now. But yes, every year I release a list of guys who it's I need to actually make a name for that segment. Like we'll call it it's time to shit or get off the pot list. But every year I make a list of guys who, if you don't perform this year, it's probably the year you're out of here. So that will be coming, but it's a little bit premature for that. We're only in April. Let's wait. We can wait. I usually do that right before the season starts. March and April is not the time. Not quite yet, Casey is. I was pretty mad, but it is what it is. Oh, top 3 rushing the passer. Baseball's a pretty good team. Yeah, baseball, softball. Yeah. What's up, New King? It almost retired me, dog. It damn sure almost broke me. Oh, it broke me for a little bit. It broke me for sure. It ain't retired me quite yet. But it was close. I ain't gonna lie to you. I've already made that. Confession. 2-10 damn near broke me. It damn near broke me. I believe we'll see. And then Hakeem on the hot seat. I mean, if you want to do like a spring hot seat, then I don't disagree with Hakeem. Spring hot seat, Hakeem Williams. There's probably some other guys just off the top of my head. Roy Dell might be like on a spring hot seat or something like that. Maybe that's something I can try to put together this for the next live stream. But that's all I got tonight, folks. We did a good hour and 30. As always, man. That's just what we do on the Hangover this weekend. Try to get you something on Saturday, most likely. Not Friday, but Saturday. Do something. Be on the lookout for some stuff. I got some stuff that I might be trying to work on here content-wise. I got potential of a South Florida guy that might want to come on here and give some insight on the NIL game. That might be something I can get on. So I got some stuff that I'm trying to work on for you guys. Again, we're trying to get back into the fix here, get back into the mode of delivering some quality content on 863 Cinema TV. Like New King said, I almost retired after last year, but I'm gritting my teeth. I'm pulling my sleeves up, getting back on the horse, and we're gonna. When we get back on Renegade, man, we're gonna try to ride this thing out. But last year almost retired me, but I'm back. So y'all hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Share the video. Look forward to some of the stuff that we got coming up. Trying to cook on some things. KCS, appreciate that. Appreciate that. $9.99 says thanks for the show. Hey, thank you for the dono and to the support and the love.
Bitch, be humble. Bitch, sit down. Be humble. Sit down.
And no, I won't be going to the FSU Bama game. Too many moving parts for me personally around that time. As I'll actually be moving here shortly. But anyway, I don't care about that stuff. And if you do, we can talk about that stuff later on. Yeah, so we got some stuff that coming up, man, that I'm trying to cook on. And so look forward to that. And I appreciate y'all, as always. Like button, subscribe, share. It's your boy Pope over here on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, Seminoles. And we are out here. Go Noles. And again, see y'all this weekend, hopefully. No promises, but I'm trying to get y'all this weekend.